Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Leanne Linsky. She is a comedian turned entrepreneur. She is the founder and CEO of the new online comedy club Plauzzable. Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit with what we are going to discuss about. We'll be talking about the importance of humor in business and life. So my first question to you, Leanne, is to understand this. You know, life nowadays can be tough. It is tough for a lot of people. And, you know, many people at that point in time forget about a lot of things, including, and sometimes they think, that, life is playing a joke on them. And when you think that life is playing a joke on you, what do you do? Do you laugh? Do you cry? How do you see that?
Yeah, great question, right? Because I think at different times it can be any one of those things, honestly, right? And what I've learned in the journey of learning everything I can about comedy is that tragedy plus time equals comedy. So sometimes we hear people going, oh, too soon, because maybe there's not enough time separating that. But I think there's such a huge benefit to having a sense of humor in some of our more challenging times. There's it's such a healthy coping mechanism, right? Especially when used in a positive manner. I think, our natural tendency is to laugh when we're uncomfortable, when we're scared, when things are awkward. And that's just like a natural instinct. And I think if we lean into that a bit, we can really release so much tension in challenging times.
Right, right. Then how does one, because of these challenging times, how do you, are you able to see humor? Is it that you have to plan to see a humor, see something in your daily life? Because nowadays you see they say, Alexa, play a joke, or any of the things, because you are not able to see humor in every other place, other places in your day-to-day life. In that aspect, then, how do you see humor in your personal life when you wake up, from the time you wake up or go to sleep? And how do you see humor in difficult situations, either personal life or in business? Because people say it's business, it's not a joke. Help us understand. You are a comedian turned entrepreneur, so you know both sides of this whole business of humor.
Yeah, I think well, I had the good fortune of growing up in a family where my siblings and my parents have a very good sense of humor. And I think environment, our home environment plays into that, and our friends, the people we surround ourselves. So I think that's the first thing that comes to mind is how to implement that and integrate that into my daily life is who do I spend time with? And do those people have a sense of humor? Because I'm more likely to practice my my laughter and my jokes and that if I'm surrounded by other people who are open to it or also collaborate with me in doing those things. I think that's really important. And I think not only in the home, but also in the workplace. I've worked at some companies where I had good, really strong relationships with the people I worked with, where we had a comfort level where we could kid around and joke around and have that rapport. And I think those were some of my best work environments ever because it brought a new kind of connection and a bond with my coworkers and myself. It built trust, right? And I think humor used in the right way can build a lot of trust. It can alleviate a lot of stress in the moment, especially as a team. If we're all experiencing a challenge together, being able to sit back for a minute and laugh at the situation or maybe laugh at ourselves and how worked up we're getting over something can make a huge difference in how we can take that and release that tension, take a breath, and then step back into something kind of with a fresh perspective or a sense of, okay, I'm not alone. I think there's a sharing a laugh with somebody is really something special. So, this comes from practice. It comes from our environment in which we're situated in, either at home, at the workplace, socially, and then also making a point of practicing that daily because it's easy to get out of that habit very quickly, especially if we're really stressed. But I think practice in our environment is really helpful. Those are key.
Right, right. So in the workplace nowadays, if you see personal life, let's go to the workplace first. In
Mhm.
the workplace nowadays, there are so many areas which are out of bound, and a lot of toxicity in workplaces. All these issues have come up. Amidst this, how do you uh, be humorous? How do you laugh at your own situation? Then others will consider it as your weakness, use it later on. How
Mhm.
do you laugh at other situations? Then they will think you are insensitive, that you are making fun of someone else. How do you crack a joke when you will think it might be considered as sexist? From other side, there are rules in offices, so many
Yeah.
movements, anyone can tweet, record, do anything. Or even if it is a political joke, anyone may feel offended. There are so many things that is at the back of your mind. how
Yeah.
do you how do you then laugh with others in a workplace in today's time? I want to understand what is the way out, what are the do's and don'ts of these things. I think then this humor actually becomes a serious issue, whether to laugh or not to laugh.
Yeah, this is such a great question. And this is actually a question a lot of people are asking, including comedians, where do we draw the line? What's too far? But I think in the workplace, that's a special circumstance, right? Because we have human resource concerns and there are so many topics that we just shouldn't talk about. So I think it kind of goes back to when I grew up, my family always said, never talk, religion and politics. You leave that aside, right? That's definitely not something we want to bring into our workplace. I think the other thing, though, in the workplace is a lot of times I hear people saying that they're sarcastic, and and people often confuse sarcasm with humor. And I personally do not see sarcasm as humor because sarcasm, there's always a harsh truth to it. And then people kind of pawn it off or say, oh, I'm just kidding. But truly, they're not. Um, and I think that so if we stay away from sarcasm and then we stay away from those very topics that have the potential to be divisive in some manner, I think we can find instead what unites us and what brings us together. So in the workplace, in that example, we can laugh at things that are relatable within the workplace, but not at somebody, something we can laugh about with one another rather than at one another. So in circumstances of, maybe something that happens at lunch breaks, like, these are kind of maybe those moments are like, what's the deal with lunch breaks or something? Um, or what's things that conversations that happen at the water cooler, but things that don't use curse words or foul language, definitely stay away from that. And I think there's there's time and a place. So at work, maybe puns are safe, wordplay, plays on words, those kind of things can be humorous, or maybe just general joking about the work that you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Your mission is to bring people together with laughter. You know,
Yeah.
is it working in today's time? Where do you see this humor happening? Because I want to understand more of this. Why is it that people humor has so much of benefit? Why is it then people are afraid in today's time to crack even a joke. Forget about others, even on themselves, you don't want to crack jokes. And maybe some jokes, as you said, it's either on Alexa or any of these things, and then you look at all those things created by artificial. Even on online, I see a lot of young people are not talking about fun side of life or business.
Yeah.
It's more about to the point, lengthy messages, especially on LinkedIn. And I don't know, you just everything gets lost in translation. Why is it so? I want to understand, because this is a serious thing. If it's almost like humor might get extinct of our day-to-day conversations, either written or oral.
Yeah, I think so you made it really good points here. I think a lot of times with social media and the ways that we can put our voice out into the world, I feel like so many people are competing for the attention. So what's shocking? What can I get attention? What would go viral? What would draw controversy? And when we think of things that go viral, they're usually things that play on an emotion, and it has to be a strong emotion. So if someone can tug on a strong emotion like anger or fear, that's really, I mean, we see that with all sorts of media, channels and things. They can play on fear and anger because those are the things that um, get to us very quickly. At the same time, that's why little cat and dog videos are very popular because those also tug at our heartstrings, and those go viral too for the same reasons because we can attach a emotion quickly to them. So when it comes to comedy and humor, we hear those voices the loudest because they get the most attention because it plays on some sort of emotion, a human emotion. But my mission to bring people together with laughter, I mean, we're in this age of connectivity where we have all this technology and opportunity to come together. And I think when I created my platform Plausible, I mean, just in an open mic that we someone had hosted on the platform, we had people from several countries, very different countries, all log in, tell jokes, and we could all relate on relationships. We could all relate on parenting jokes or having siblings or pets. There are so many other things on a day-to-day basis that we have in common. It's like, "Oh, wait, you too?" Yet here's all these people, completely different backgrounds from where we're residing in the world. So the politics in each of our countries is unique unto themselves. We heard from people who had different religious backgrounds and faiths, and I'm sorry because there's a loud car going by. But there's, but it was remarkable because we were all just laughing at each other and having such a great time. So I think that's the way to it's choosing what we focus on. What we focus on grows.
Right, right. How do you do things at Plausible? Tell us a bit more about, Plausible. And plus, you are a comedian turned entrepreneur. So, is comedy gone or is it still there? Uh, how does it work? How is it working for you?
It's working. It's definitely working. And the whole reason that I created Plausible is because I had been doing comedy for over 20 years. And so I was trying to solve some of my own problems. And then as I started using technology to fix it, other people were like, oh, me too. So I ended up just creating a platform solely designed for comedians. So what I did is when you think of a online marketplace, right? You have uh, if you log in as a comedy fan, you can go through and see all the comedians in a directory, and you could sort by what kind of comedy you like, what kind of comedy you don't want to see, and you can see what comedians are out there, where they're from, what they are doing, what shows they're going to be in. Or you can go to the show directory and you can see what shows are coming up. And remember when we used to have like appointment TV, when what you watched on TV was live in real time and you had to be watching your TV at a certain time of day in order to see that programming. That's what Plausible is. Everything's live in real time. And so when a comedian logs into Plausible, we give them the scheduling tools, the virtual stage, the ticketing services so that they can do free shows or they can do ticketed shows. They decide. We just provide the software, and then they can put all of their programming up and list it on Plausible, and then the fans can log in and see them live in real time. So just like you and I can see each other live here on Plausible, we could see each other like this, but also we could see the entire audience, so, and they can see us. So it's very interactive without the audio delays and without the other, without it feel like you're in a work conference. So we set it
Right.
all up like that.
So it's for people, from all across the world. They can come onto the platform.
Yeah. Everybody, anybody in the world can access Plausible, create a free account. We're currently in beta, so everything on the platform is accessible to everyone. And we do have ticketing services. Currently, the paid shows are only available to do if you're in the US, but we're going to be expanding that to other countries so that other people in other countries have the opportunity to earn money as well.
Right. For like any other platform, how do you manage the do's and don'ts on this platform? Because one person's comedy or humor can be very difficult for another person to digest, and not maybe in another part of the world. In one part of the world, it is fine, but in another part of the world, it may not be fine. And everyone, see, a lot of people nowadays are in the business of feeling not good about so many things.
Yes. Well, that's what we want to do, is give you the opportunity to choose what it is you want to watch. If you like one particular comedian and their show, by all means watch it. If you end up logging in to somebody's show and you don't care for that comedy, log out and choose something else. And it gives everybody a little bit of choice and options, because you can go, okay, I don't want to hear anything about relationships. Maybe you just went through a breakup, right? And so it's like, I don't want to hear anything about relationships. I want to hear, you know, workplace humor or whatever it is. So maybe there's a show and someone's doing it all about this. Or in other shows, maybe there's 3 or 4 different comedians. So one comedian you may not like, and then the next comedian you may not like. So you can just easily log out or turn your audio off. um, it's kind of like picking and choosing what's on streaming services currently. You have the options. You don't have to stay. And the nice thing is you didn't drive there, so it's not like you had a long commute.
Right, right.
Oh,
My
and I
my
will
right.
I
Carry
will
on,
add
carry on.
I will add one other thing. At the end of each performance, the fans can leave a review and feedback to better inform other fans what that comedian is like, or what they liked about them, or what they didn't like.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have one more question for you, Leanne. Is, as they say, the world is a stage, and we are all actors here playing our part. When it's a stage, who is a comedian in this world? Is it a professional comedian? Only they have to make people laugh. How do we look ourselves at the right kind of humorist, people who can, create fun and laughter around us with whatever small little things we do in terms of humor? Can everyone will be a comedian? Can only the comedian stand-up artists will be comedians? How do you look at it? Or only the CEO will be a comedian who will crack jokes, and some of the people of his psycho friends will laugh at it? Who is the comedian in today's time? Can we all be people who can make others laugh? Help us understand this.
I would like to think that everyone has the potential, that we all have the potential in us to make someone else laugh or to bring joy to somebody else in some way. I think how good someone wants to be is really depends on how much effort that person wants to put into it. And because I think we can get better with anything with practice and some commitment. And I just think with humor, it just takes practice. So even people are like, "Oh, I could never get up and talk in front of people," or "I don't have a I don't know how to tell a joke." But I bet if you took a class or if you went to a few open mics, I bet after you do it a few times, you're going to be better than you were the first time. And after a few more times, you're going to be even better than you were after the first month. And it just builds just like anything else in life. So I say, if you want to be able to tell a joke, just get out there and do it and practice.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to learn about, a comedy and laughter, and it can be very difficult and can be more simple if at all you look at it. It all depends on the perception and perspective that you look at. That's my understanding of
Yeah.
it. Be
Yeah.
that as it may, a lot of people would like to understand, learn more about you, about Plausible. So, what is the best way for them to learn more about it and connect with you as well as Plausible?
Yeah, I would love people to connect with me. The best way to connect is go to plausible.com, and that's Plauzzable.com. And to reach me, there's a contact us form on there that I check those emails regularly. So that would be going to me. And check out the site. And if you want to try some comedy, by all means, do it, because it's a safe and supportive community of people. We have hundreds of comedians already on there, and everybody's looking out for each other. I mean, it's a good place to try something, and if it doesn't work, we're there to support you through it.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.